To read the Bible in a year, you need 30 minutes to listen or read and 5 days each week. Join us here at St.Andrews for Bible in a Year.
So what week is this? Is this officially fourth quarter?
Yes, we're officially in the fourth quarter. And
Somehow my bookmark has disappeared. Oh, I picked one up on Sunday.
oh, you picked one up. Then never mind.
I have my new sticker.
The third quarter Bible in a Year completion bookmarks are out.
Yeah, and I was just thinking, we need people to share with us, you know, if this is something that you're planning to complete, because we wanted to do something in worship
Yeah.
near the end of October.
Well, and we've heard from a couple of you. It was great hearing from Ginny last week, on it. And so it would be good to recognize that at the end of October.
So somehow, I don't know, what are the odds if we put up a sheet to say, yes, I'm doing Bible in a Year, you would sign it? What are the odds? The camera's telling me nothing.
Yeah,
Okay, I feel like the odds are 30%.
we'll get there.
All right. So this is, I don't know what week, but the beginning of the fourth quarter.
Week 40.
Week 40. That makes sense.
You know what this reminded me of, reading Jeremiah?
No idea.
When you go on like a mission trip or a vacation
Yeah?
to an entirely different culture and you have to get okay, here are all the cultural things that you should not do. Here are the things you should do. Here, that's what Jeremiah felt like. Especially this first chunk. As he's kind of preaching into the exile. Or the coming exile and God's judgment. And when you are exiled, don't. That's what it reminded me of.
So, in between all of this, just some basic points to live. Well, one of my children this morning was telling me how yesterday they read the Ten Commandments. And how he was very confused as to why people would worship a cow. It's like, it is very confusing. And yet, we do it over and over and over again. But I agree, it's very confusing.
This is why I continue to love doing youth ministry.
Just like, I don't understand why you'd worship a cow. And like a cow statue, not even a real cow. Yeah.
It's because of the culture that they adopted. And I mean, it felt safe and familiar, and God is...
Well, did it feel safe and familiar, or did it feel safe because now they weren't different? Because it wasn't familiar, right?
I'm assuming Egypt had some kind of...
No, that's true, probably. Well, and even before that, right, when Jacob was... Where was it? The household gods that were in someone's pack? Was that Rachel?
Yeah, that was Rachel, because it wasn't Leah.
They took the household gods.
So that was Jacob. And that was when Laban caught up to them. Wow, that's been a while. That was first quarter. There have always been gods that surround the people of Israel, though. It's just they adopt them a little too quickly and easily at times.
Okay, I'm struggling with maybe it was familiar. It's tricky.
Because, I mean, that's part of the pattern that has led to exile. And what was, they were a righteous king in God's eyes, and they were an evil king in God's eyes. And how many times the Asherah and high altars of Baal got torn down and rebuilt.
Rebuilt. Yeah, I mean, it gives us some kings, right? We start out, and we're in the days of Josiah. I almost felt like reading this, like we need to have a list of the kings who did what was right in the eyes of the Lord. Because it would be a short list, right? Oh, is that on your thing?
It is. I don't
And
know
the
where
rest of them you just know.
And it is marked in there, but it's marked with all the other data about the kings as well.
Oh, here we go. Did right. Yeah, I just need the did right ones, because most of them it's did evil.
It's a very short list.
So it's Josiah, he's the last one, Hezekiah, Jotham, Uzziah, Jehoshaphat, and Asa, and David. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7. There were a couple that...
Started right but ended wrong, or
Yeah.
started wrong and ended right?
There's none of those.
No? Okay.
At least not according to your chart. So 7. So there's only 7 kings you have to remember. We don't need to remember the ones that did it wrong.
They inform where we're going.
They do. Because, I mean, Josiah and Manasseh are both mentioned in the early part of Jeremiah. So the other part I really like of Jeremiah is I like the call of Jeremiah. You know, we have God's action and God's call. Before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. I love how it's God's action so clearly. I consecrated you. I appointed you a prophet to the nations. And then we have, very common in a call story, right? We have the protest.
Not me.
Not me.
But I like Isaiah's protest more than Jeremiah's.
Yeah?
Yeah.
How so?
I am a man of unclean lips. And that whole, okay, here's a burning coal. And
Yeah, so see, that related to this to me, right? And the Lord put out his hand and touched my mouth. And I was like, okay, it's not a coal, but it felt like Isaiah. But his protest is, behold, I do not know how to speak.
which harkens even to what Moses did.
Yes. And then, for I am only a youth. And I was like, oh, like Timothy. So, it's just very interesting. Who's way ahead, but...
Yeah, it's a couple hundred years from now.
And then God, of course, replies, do not say, for I am only youth. For to all whom I send you, you shall go. And whenever I command, you shall speak. And do not be afraid. So, yeah. So, it's funny. Like, the first couple chapters of Jeremiah, every time I turn around, I'm like, oh, it's like this. It's like this. Like, then to pluck up and break down, to destroy and overthrow, it's like Ecclesiastes. And then at verse 11, the word of the Lord came to me saying, Jeremiah, what do you see? And I said, I see an almond branch. All right, here's your trivia. Where's the almond branch? Before Jeremiah.
Before Jeremiah? Isn't that what the dove brings back from? No.
Oh, I don't know. It could be it. It is definitely, though, Aaron's staff.
Oh.
That, bloomed after it was cut. And it was almonds that it grew. So we have this, connection to Aaron's staff, which, if I remember right, that was put in the Ark of the Covenant.
Yes, that's one of the items that's supposed to be in there.
And then the second time, so he sees this almond branch, which reminds us of Aaron. And then he says, what do you see? And it's a boiling pot. And I was just like, pot is boiling over. So yeah, I don't know. So many images in this.
Okay, the dove brought back an olive leaf.
Sorry. Well, Aaron had the almond branch.
Which makes sense.
Yeah, I know, but I was like, I think that's the same. Is that the same? I looked it up and it was. So yeah, there's all these connections.
So Jeremiah has... I feel for Jeremiah because we're building up to him being brokenhearted. And embodying really but embodying what is God's love for his people. And for the promise and breaking over how all of that has broken.
Yeah.
Because as Jeremiah is building, and he's calling out and correcting in different ways everything over the next couple of chapters that has just failed. And how that's going to lead to desolation, destruction, the 70 years? I think it was 70 years that the exile lasts. Out of that, is there anything that stands out to you? Because the first half of this book is pretty heavy.
I know. Well, I think, chapter 2, the part that really pulled out to me was, God's lament. And what's God's lament? It's that they didn't even ask about God.
It's true.
It's like they didn't even, the prophets and the shepherds and the priests, they all turned to other things. So it's like none of these even leaders that had put in place or people to help guide the people, they all just turned a different way. And it's like they just left, right? They ghosted God.
Well, and out of that, Jeremiah 2:29, why do you contend with me? You've all transgressed against me, declares the Lord. In vain I struck your children, they took no correction. Your own sword devoured your prophets like a raving lion.
And then 28, is that still 3? No, it's still 2.
Yeah.
Sorry, still 2. But where are your gods that you made for yourself? Let them arise if they can save you. And it almost feels like that thief taunting Jesus on the cross, right?
Yeah.
Like God's taunting them, like, okay, well, what are you going to do? And then in 3, those echoes of the heart. So it's verse 10. Judah did not return to me with her whole heart, but in pretense, declares the Lord. And then in 15, still God says, I will give you shepherds after my own heart, which takes us all the way back to David.
And again, all of the prophets, everything that he has tried to do.
But then here, this is what you bring out a lot,
The search for hope in the midst of darkness.
There is, 27, well, okay, let me start back a little bit. So, starting in 23, it starts to sound like creation, but it's actually the opposite. I looked on the earth, and behold, it was without form and void.
Are you in chapter 4? Yes. Chapter 4?
I don't know, I missed that.
Yeah, you switched over to chapter 4.
Sorry, chapter 4, verse 23. I looked on the earth, and behold, it was without form and void, and to the heavens, and they had no light. And I looked on the mountains, and they were quaking, and on the hills that moved to and fro. And I looked, and behold, there was no man, and all the birds of the air had fled. And the cities were laid in ruin. 27, for thus says the Lord, the whole land shall be a desolation. Yet I will not make a full end.
And I love 28. For this the earth shall mourn, and the heavens above be dark. For I have spoken, I have purposed, I have not relented, nor will I turn back. There's a path forward. It's not great, but there's a path forward.
I think the hard thing in these prophets is the part where we hear God said, I will not turn back. This is the decision and it's been made. And that's hard.
But even amidst that decision, he's built that path. That is, the exile will end.
Yeah, but in 5, you find, and it's not just about the kings, right? Sometimes we can read and think it is. But chapter 5, starts out, run to and fro through the streets of Jerusalem. Search her squares to see if you can find a man, one, who does justice and seeks truth. that I may pardon her. Her being Jerusalem.
Yes.
So it reminds you, of the two messengers or angels going to Sodom and Gomorrah looking for just 10, right? This is just one. But they've made their faces harder than rock and have refused to repent. Then verse 10, but make not a full end. So there's all of this. Is there anything else that stood out to you in these first chapters?
Not drastically. I mean, it is. I will say this. Jeremiah is a book that I understood in history, but never really understood until I read it in the middle of 2020. And just what that moment was of, okay, things are bleak, but there is hope. The sun will rise. There will be a way we will find forward. It might look different. It might not. But this is not an end.
Yeah, the refrain is, we need it.
Yeah.
In chapter 6, what stood out to me is, and I use this phrase often, but the context is maybe not what I remembered. So 6:14, they have healed the wound of my people lightly, saying peace, peace, where there is no peace. So it's not telling people to have peace when there's no peace is like, putting a Band-Aid on something, right? It's like, oh, but I've used that peace, like peace, peace, where there is no peace. But I use it thinking from Christ backwards.
That's also in the Psalms or Proverbs, isn't it?
When I looked it up, it was in a couple of the other prophets. But this was one of the main references. So that was interesting. It's also in Ezekiel. I don't remember in the Psalm or Prophets when I Googled it. Yeah. I mean, I think, so I guess I'm pondering that. Like, the recognition that there is no peace, yet still prayerfully hoping for peace. I don't know. I'm hoping that's really different, but it made me ponder that a little bit more.
Well, and then when you get a bit further.
Well, it's again in 8:11.
Right.
Exactly the same. What are you thinking? Farther?
Further.
Well, 8:22, there's no balm in Gilead. We always got to have our hymns. Where are you going?
I think I'm going a lot further than I thought. But to the... Oh, yeah, it's 20... It's getting into 21 towards the end.
Chapter 21?
Yeah.
I haven't read chapter 21.
I thought we were... Oh.
I thought we were going to chapter 20.
All right, well...
Oh, and that is a difference. Our bookmarks have the readings that are doing various chapters, and some of them not necessarily in order, and quite honestly, that was a little much for me. So, we're just reading in sections straight up 1 through 20.
Sorry, I got a bit ahead then. But going into the...
Go ahead, tell us what it is.
Just going into the hope. That it's not a branch.
You're looking for the Pope. You had to go all the way to 21 to look for the hope.
It's not a branch that is cut off. It is something that God will restore. They will not... They will go into the land and make peace with their captors and live and begin... I think this is coming out of the reading from we had last week, Haggai or Zephaniah, but just begin making a home there because the mission and ministry will begin anew to all people out of this dispersion.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's a lot.
It is. And I mean, and it really is. I mean, you understand that Lamentations is, connected, because there is so much lamentation in this. I mean, chapter 10 is so striking to me. Their idols are like scarecrows in a cucumber field, and they cannot speak. And they have to be carried, for they cannot walk. But then in verse 20, same chapter 10, my tent is destroyed, and all my cords are broken. My children have gone from me, and they are not. And there is no one to spread my tent again.
Well, and so going back to 8, I mean, before you get to there is no balm in Gilead, you have Jeremiah, my joy is gone, grief is upon me, my heart is sick within me. Just that pang of emptiness that he feels.
Yeah.
And Jeremiah, it's a fair assessment, but a little unfair of being called the weepy prophet. But he got the short end of the stick. Because he cares for and is expressing God's love for these people, but brokenness over what is.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of broken. I mean, 11 talks about the broken covenant.
Mm-hmm.
A conspiracy exists among the men of Judah. And they turn their back on the iniquities of their forefathers. And they've gone to other gods and served them. They have broken my covenant. Yeah.
Well, and
all of these images.
Jeremiah 12. I mean, he's being brutally direct there with even what is the brokenness that is uttered, the wholeness that is spoken, but the brokenness of heart that is there, and how that continues to flourish and drive Israel further into decay.
Yeah. In 14, you have the drought. In 15, interesting, it starts out, then the Lord said to me, though Moses and Samuel, which I don't remember those two being paired often, stood before me, yet my heart would not turn towards the people. So there's this interesting, intercession behind the scenes, but still. And then you hear, verse 4, and I will make them a horror to all the kingdoms of the earth because of what Manasseh, son of Hezekiah, king of Judah, did in Jerusalem. And then Jeremiah's complaint follows later. It's just too much. It's just too much to bear.
At every turn.
Yeah.
And you asked yesterday, how am I getting through Jeremiah?
Some caffeine?
I think the answer still remains a good glass of something helps.
I had to take breaks.
Yeah.
And Jeremiah's interceding for the people. Chapter 17, he is praying for deliverance. And then interestingly, when it turns to the Sabbath, the Lord said to me, go stand by the people's gate, which the kings of Judah enter. And he's talking about keeping the Sabbath day holy. Well, it's just start there. Just rest with me.
Well, and we had established even in, again, I think it was last week, that it was Passover hadn't happened for...
Oh, yeah, that was... I didn't realize that hadn't happened for a long time.
Yeah, and it was a whole generation that hadn't celebrated in Passover. Which makes sense of, okay, even things like Sabbath are going to be degraded in that day, in that moment. So that's what that drew to me.
I mean, and it gets turned around, right? Culture turns this around, that Sabbath is all of these restrictions. But, what was that Netflix show? The one where, the party girl ends up dating the rabbi?
What?
Oh, shoot, I'll have to figure out which one it is.
We exist on different ends of Netflix.
We do. Anyway, so she's dating this rabbi, right? And she's like, okay, so we're going to try this whole Shabbat thing, right? And she's like, what is it? And he's like, well, we like make food we like to get ready. And then like we hang out with people we love. And she's like, so I hang out in my comfy clothes with people I like and eat food? He's like, yeah. And she's like, well, that sounds amazing.
And then at the end of it, you break it by overfilling your glass of wine? Okay.
So just keep the Sabbath day. Like, we end up feeling like it's this chore and it's this gift God tries to give us over and over again. And even here, this is where it starts, right? Like, Jeremiah is praying for deliverance for the people, and he's like, okay, keep the Sabbath day holy.
There's something to be said that the gift of Sabbath is presence.
Ultimately, I agree. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, in one of the images that comes that people refer to in Jeremiah a lot is chapter 18, that image of the potter and the clay. It being reworked into something new, something different. Doesn't mean it's a simple process, but still into something.
Which is a beautiful image.
It is.
Because it, as hard as it is, it gives context to the destruction. And hope towards what is to come.
Yeah, and then we end up with Jeremiah complaining about all of the plots to kill him. It reminds me of like, people blame the prophet. It's like, don't shoot the messenger. And it's like, why is that a phrase? Because people shoot the messenger.
We covered it earlier. How many of the prophets did the people come after and kill? And yeah.
I don't know. So yeah. So I mean, Jeremiah 20, he's actually, by a priest, he is put in the stocks, like for a day, and, humiliated, and just, he's been a laughing stock all day. Everyone mocks me. It's verse 7. And terror is on every side. Pashar, who's the priest, however you say that name, terror on every side was like what he called him. And then this reminds me, I'm almost sure this is in Job, verse 14, that Job also cursed the day on which he was born.
He did.
So Jeremiah is right there.
Yeah. Oh, I don't remember where he says that.
I know, when you read Job last.
Job 3. Wow, that conveniently worked. Let the day perish on which I was born, and the night that said a man is conceived, let that day be darkness.
So looking for the hope in Jeremiah is a little bit like looking for a needle in a haystack, but it's worth looking for.
It comes later.
It does, but you need to not forget to see the haystack.
And understand that it's there because we made it.
Yeah.
James was nicer.
Yeah, but it still felt kind of hard.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
James doesn't feel very cheery to me.
Okay, this is interesting. I didn't think it felt like cheery and happy. It felt like a wisdom book of old.
I guess and this is interesting, right? Because I haven't always been a huge fan of Paul, but like reading it in Paul's letters, this one feels... It feels less encouraging, right? It's like, this. And I'm just like, okay. So is it all going really badly? Or do people need like a clear instruction book? Or...
See, this made me... I actually had to go and check. I was like, wow, this feels like Proverbs and Psalms. But
it does feel like, actually, except I was feeling it felt like Ecclesiastes, but...
Yeah, there are moments of that,
but
yeah.
wisdom literature, yes.
But I was like, wow, this feels like teachings of Jesus, right out of the
But in the
Beatitudes,
midst of the wisdom literature. Yeah,
with
I
wisdom
agree.
literature. And I wasn't, I don't know, it wasn't hitting hard, but it was just encouraging.
Maybe it's just reading of Jeremiah.
Yeah, I don't know.
Or maybe just reading when I was really tired. I was really tired.
Well, and there's grace in the...
Yeah. I mean, it's just hard though, right? Like, well, if I'm going to jump, like chapter 2, verse, it says verse 8, you shall love the Lord. You shall love your neighbor as yourself, and you are doing well. And then you go down to 10, forever keeps the whole law but fails in one point, has become guilty of all of it. And you're like...
Okay, interesting.
But then at the end, it says mercy triumphs over judgment.
Sorry, because that's what stood out to me is that last bit there in 12. So speak and so act as those who are to be judged under the law of liberty, for judgment is without mercy to one who has shown no mercy.
Right. So it's like that parable of the unforgiving servant.
Yeah, that's what it felt like, where it was, okay, if I have no mercy, then I can expect no mercy.
Yeah. Yes, very much felt like that to me.
Which...
Now, honestly, the very beginning confuses me. Because I looked this up a little bit and it wasn't what I expected. So the 12 tribes in the dispersion. So it's, to the tribes of Israel that are scattered around the world, probably mostly in the Roman Empire. So I expected it to be later. I expected it to be after the temple was destroyed. I expected it to be after 70 AD. But when I looked it up, most people say, oh no, this might be one of the earliest books in the New Testament. So I was surprised by that.
I was going to say, there's...
So, I don't know. I mean, it wasn't like the best scholars I was reading at the moment. It was something quick, but I was surprised.
Yeah, I'd have to look that up. I don't know.
Yeah.
I caught that as well, but just went right through it, just going, oh, okay. I assumed using that introduction was more addressing the Jewish crowd than the Gentiles.
Yes, and that's clear. And it is.
Yeah.
And it's... Yes, and it's definitely that.
Which might also then help explain why it's Jesus' teaching combined with elements of wisdom literature and feels different, because it's, if you've got to at least get something in people's back pocket, this isn't a bad one.
And it's a style that would have been more familiar.
Yeah.
And there are some clear things, right? If you don't know what to do, be doers of the word. Chapter 1, verse 22, very clear. Don't just hear it, be doers of the word.
Well, and that's a continued thing through the whole of James, of faith and works.
Yes. Yeah, you have to have both.
Yeah. Yeah, because that comes into play later, where it's show me your
Chapter
faith
3.
without works, and I'll show you my faith with works, or
By my works.
by my works.
Yeah, that's verse 18.
How did I
And
not
then
highlight that?
It references, it's chapter 2. And then it references Abraham putting Isaac on the altar, and Rahab, they're both justified
Letting out the spies.
by these works.
Which I like how it concluded that in verse 26. For as the body apart from the spirit is dead, so also faith apart from works is dead.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, a lot of very clear wisdom, right? To be very careful with what we say. Chapter 3:5. So also the tongue is a small member, yet it boasts of great things. How a forest is set ablaze by such a small fire, and the tongue is a fire in a world of unrighteousness. So something we say can very quickly blow up. Right? It's
Yes.
true. I mean, I once saw a fire started by a car backfiring,
Oy.
Yeah, in the hills in California. It was not good. And we were just driving by, and like before we were out of sight, the whole field was on fire.
Oh, man.
Yeah. But no human being can tame the tongue. See why I'm not encouraged? That is not encouraging.
Okay. Sorry, again, I took that as a... You can even reach back into Jeremiah and his calling, and Isaiah and his calling of, okay, I'm not the only one.
Okay.
Road rage is a thing. Thank God for grace.
I mean, what did feel comforting was in chapter 4, you know, these images of draw near to God, and he will draw near to you. And I'm like, okay, that... And I feel that, right? Like, there's days where you're just doing your stuff and you start to feel far away. And it's like when you draw near to God, God's presence in your life is more present.
Oh, and I love the end of 4:14. Yet you do not know what tomorrow will bring. What is your life? For you are a mist that appears for a little time and then vanishes. Instead, you ought to say, if the Lord wills, we will live and do this or that.
Yeah, which reminds me of Matthew 6, you know, don't worry, you know, as much as God clothes the lilies of the field. But then also of Isaiah 40, right?
Mm-hmm.
The grass withers and the flower fades, but the word of the Lord stands forever. I always like 4:12. You know, let your yes be yes and your no be no.
5:12.
5:12. These chapters are really just go by. It just seems so clear. I mean, I guess especially in my generation, it's like what? The generation of how late before we commit, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's like they're invited to something and they're like, well, maybe. We'll see if it works out. You know, it's like always holding out for possibly something else. Like, just say yes or no. Like, just choose. So, yeah. And I love the way James ends. You know, I love that focus on praying and calling the elders and gathering and anointing and praying and laying hands on those who need prayer.
It's a building of community.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And the one of the big takeaways, there we go, that I came away from this is just the community that is being built is in humility. It has its peaks and lows, but it's meant to be centered on God, approaching in humility, growing in humility, and serving one another.
Yeah, that feels like a good frame. That's better than the frame I was reading through.
It's not a great book with a masterful discourse at the end. It's just simple.
And I do appreciate there's like clear things to do, right? Yeah. But yet mercy is in the midst of it. Mercy. And we have to live with mercy.
Loving your neighbor, and hey, yeah, no one can tame the tongue. I get it. I've been on the donkey path.
Keep trying.
Remind yourself you have a bumper sticker on the back that says St.Andrews. Try not to yell at everybody.
I do. Although I need to wash my car, but then I'll have to take it off so I don't forget.
Well, I meant on mine.
No, I have one on mine. Hey, I don't have my fourth quarter. It must be on my desk. Bookmark.
Yeah,
Do you have one?
Yes, I do.
So we're sort of trying to gather things in as we go. So we're going to start at Jeremiah 21.
We'll pick that up next week.
So, yeah, maybe we'll try to read 35 or so. Although there's 50 chapters in Jeremiah, it looks like. We already finished 2 Kings and 2 Chronicles, even though it's there.
Yeah, but we jump out of Jeremiah for a while.
Oh, yeah, Lamentations and Obadiah.
So.
Okay, so maybe we should read to 30. Okay, we'll figure it out. We'll read part of Jeremiah. And then First Peter, maybe Lamentations. Maybe we jump ahead.
Yeah, we could probably just do.
There is grace in how you read. Just keep going. But if we're not exactly on the exact readings you are, please be gracious. We are also doing our best to fit this in.
We knew at the beginning of this that the minor prophets would be where we started getting some interesting hopping around. And we're just grazing that.
Well, we've done a bunch of minor prophets, actually.
We still have a few to go, though.
We have a few. I mean, Obadiah, Daniel, you're
Yeah.
right. Haggai, Zechariah, Ezra is history.
Yeah, I mean, I think the next time we get stabilized, really, in the Old Testament is Job. That's towards the end of it all.
Job is your view of stable?
No,
Oh, good.
but stabilized in reading.
Well, Daniel, we go straight through Daniel.
Oh, do we?
Yeah,
Okay.
it's very clear. 1 to 3, 4 to 6, 7 to 9. In 6 weeks. 10 to 12. Oh, so I don't have the most encouraging word today. I think we keep going. You know, there's hope in the midst of all of this. But if we ignore looking at the destruction and the suffering, then the hope doesn't mean what it really means. It's about, what was it last week? Widen your hearts.
Yeah. And I think it's okay to just to be where we are. Enjoy or grief.
Well, and lament is not always just about us. I mean, there's certainly lots of things in the world I am lamenting right now.
Yeah.
So, draw near to God. And may God draw near to you. We'll see you next week.
Amen.